Hey there, how you doing? Charlie Winters here with horse racing and football selections for Saturday, the 11th of January. Well, sorry for the short break, it was enforced, a few issues to sort out. Hopefully they're sorted now, but let's get onto the horse racing and football selections. So, I actually don't mind this. I know it's shocking racing, but I actually don't mind the racing today. I'm not for this 150 rated horses. It doesn't bother me. If I can see an angle with a horse rated 45, 50, or 55, then I shall go for it. I get just the same buzz from a 4-1 winner in a Class 6 than I do in a champion chase. I'll be honest about that. It's nice to see quick horses and whatever and all that kind of stuff, but we're here to have a bet. So I like. Well, I always say that, but I do really like the look of these horses. There are a couple where I've like um, I'm testing my luck, but I do like the angle of them. So I'm gonna get into it. So what I've done is I've had a 5 pence each way, lucky 63. There's a couple of big prices, like I said, and some like pretty much four really fancied horses. Then what I've also done is I've had a 12 pence each way Yankee with the four stronger fancied horses in that bet. Then what I've done, somehow I've managed to get a £5 free bet. So what I've done for the football bet is I've had a £5 free bet on the over 2.5 goals, and I've just had a £2 which was left over in my account on the over 3.5 goals. So it's quite a small stake today. It's about £17, I think it is. So let me get into it. So as I said, it's a 5 pence each way, lucky 63. The first selection is Elysian Night. I've left the price, it's about 50-1 in the 12.42 at Foslas. Unfortunately, it's only three places, but there are several doubts, in my opinion, over the fancied horses. Um, and I shall quickly show you that. So, the fancied horses, you've got the Harry Durham stable. They're actually going quite well, which is a bit of a surprise because if you remember in the news or the Racing Post news not long ago, his stable was basically underwater. So what I normally do is when stables are like underwater or heavy snow, they tend to miss training. So what I normally do is normally I normally avoid those stables and try and go against them. But he's actually in okay form. There's not loads of his horses winning, but I've looked at the Racing Post ratings, how I look at them, and generally his horses are either running to form or slightly above form. So you could actually say I'm completely wrong. It's a stable in a little bit of form, but I'm going to take the favourite on because it's odds on. Juventus de Brion is also first time wind operation. I did originally look at Tamarin Bay as a viable option, but I think there's horses with better chances in the race. I did actually look at several horses, which is quite frustrating, and I can give a lot of horses chances as outsiders, but I've gone for Elysian Night. So this horse, it's not done a great deal, but its last run was encouraging. What I tend to find with Conor O'Farrell is he normally sits at the back, and a lot of his rides purely look like schooling sessions, which is quite frustrating. I certainly hope this isn't one of them, but I'm not sure how many times it's actually ran over hurdles. But if let's just say if all four of those occasions are over hurdles, then it's not like it's after a handicap mark, 'cause it's already got it. But its last run was encouraging because it took a keen hold, held up in rear, and actually made some headway. Still comfortably beaten, but for 50-1 chance with doubts over some of the others, I think it's got an obvious chance. Um, Realistically, I'd expect it to ideally come in the top six, so we need a bit of carnage to happen in the race. I don't want to see really any fallers, but I won't mind seeing some horses underperform. The second selection is a strong fancy of mine, and I shall tell you why. So the horse is called Halifon. I've left the price; it's currently about 12-1 in the 130 at Chelmsford. So when the prize money has been boosted, or it's tasty prize money, you're always best on keeping Ian Williams on your side. This is his horse. It's a well handicapped horse, and I think this horse, now the prize money has been upped, which this counts for a few of the selections that I've had today, which always seem to run better when there's a few quid knocking around in these races. They seem to use these like up to £5 grand races to occasionally win one, but also to keep like the fitness ticking over, in my opinion, ready for a tilt at one of the bigger prizes. So Halifon in the 130 at Chelmsford. The next selection is Till It Shines in the 10 past 2 at Chelmsford, and this is paying 4 places instead of 3. So this horse, in my opinion, ran a cracker. It was drawn 10 around this track. I think it was around this track. It was either this track or Lingfield, but it doesn't matter. This horse handles this track. So drawn 10, which whether it's at Lingfield or Chelmsford, is drawn wide. It was always just right behind the pace, and it looked like a quick pace because in the end, the two back markers came, and I do believe finished first and second. But this horse was always pestering. It was always on the heels of the leaders. It met a little bit of trouble. It wasn't an unlucky loser, but it met a little bit of trouble. It was still full of running towards the end and looking for a bit of room. And I think it came fourth in the end. I think it'll come on for the run, and the prize money is also a little bit higher. And I think this horse, a bit of a clearer run, and I think it's got every chance. I'm just going to double check who's on it this time. So it's Tyrese Cameron claiming 7. Last time it was Taylor Fisher who rode it. The fourth selection is Double Click. So if you remember, this selection is I backed this horse last time. I think it was when the fog was knocking around, and it was a bit frustrating really because I knew this horse would be staying on, and it doesn't normally get held up towards the rear, but it was on this occasion, and unfortunately it wasn't that quick a pace, and it was a held up towards the rear for a horse that wants further, it wants a fast pace. So held up towards the rear off a slow pace didn't help it last time, and it was staying on towards the finish. But if it had been a faster pace, I think we'd have seen a different outcome. However, this selection this time, it's been stepped up half a mile. Well, there are relations in the family that have appreciated the slight step up from 2 mile. However, this horse, its sire is Flensfirth. So I always look at the on the sire section on the racing post. There's always in brackets. It's saying like 15.2F, and that always gives me an indication of how far they wanted or the optimum trip. I don't know if I've misread that, but I do believe that's something on them lines. So this horse, its sire is Flensfirth, which is 15.2, which tells me it wants a stamina test. The ones that have appreciated in the family a slight step up in trip have been like 10 point something or 12 point something horses. So I think in this horse, out of all of them, will appreciate the step up in trip more than its relatives in the past. So I think Double Click, granted, I'm quite happy with a fast pace because I think the courses it's been running at have been far stiffer than what Fosslas is. So the horse is called Double Click in the 225 at Fosslas, paying 4 places instead of 3. I do believe I just double check. Yes, it's the same jockey. I think he's claiming 7. The next selection, I was in two minds because I fancied 2 horses, and I'll tell you the other one. The other one was Balear. So if anybody fancies that, I wouldn't put you off it. My doubt about this one is I really like the look of it, and it has ran okay in the past, fresh, but I'm always a bit concerned after a 64-day break for a horse. I think it's into a sprinter. I think it's 6 furlong horse. I think so. Stallone. I've left the price in the 235 at Newcastle, paying 4 places instead of 3. This horse wants a fast pace. It did look as though on Friday night they were tending to go to the far side, which is low numbers. I don't know if that'll be the case again, but we'll see. But the horse is called Stallone in the 235 at Newcastle, paying 4 places instead of 3. It wants a fast pace, the same as Balear does, and you can expect it to be closing towards the finish. And the jockey is Sean Kiran. Yeah. The next selection is Riot, and I like the angle of this, similar to Halifon, because the horse is called Riot. I've left the price, and it's in the 240 at Chelmsford, paying 6 places instead of 4. This one's trained by David O'Meara, and similar to Ian Williams, if there's a few quid knocking around, he's going to be sniffing all over it. So this horse is well handicapped. It always seems to run, not always, but sorry, it can often run better when there's a lot of prize money. If you go through its form, it has ran some decent races last year when the prize money was much bigger. comparing to how it runs in like 5, 6, and 7 grand races. This horse, I do believe it comes from behind. I think it's not ideal at Chelmsford, but if the jockey can get it in a decent position, I think it's drawn 8. If you can get it mid-division, no worse than mid-division, I think we've got every chance. And I honestly think it's got a really good chance. So the stronger selections are, so it's a 12 pence each way Yankee, and those are the 4 selections. So it's Halifon, Till It Shines, Double Click, and Riot. And I've also had a 53 pence each way fourfold just to top it up if they all come placed, but also it was to clear my account out in the end. So the football bet is it's a £5 free bet treble. So you decide what stakes you want really. So the matches are, it's FA Cup weekend, so makes no odds to me. I've just picked 3 matches where I think there could be goals. West Brom aren't full of goals, but they currently haven't got a manager. Are they looking to impress their new manager? I don't know, because he hasn't been appointed yet, but apparently he's in the process of being appointed. His name's Wiki, so he could be in the stand. Bournemouth are a decent team at home, so it's Bournemouth versus West Brom over 2.5 goals. Norwich versus Brighton over 2.5 goals. In my opinion, 2 attacking teams. It's the FA Cup, so they can let the hair down. And third match is Swindon versus Crewe. Crewe seem to score a decent amount, decent team. Swindon, I do believe they're still bottom of the league, in a bit of disarray, but they do tend to they can have high scoring matches. So that bet makes £18.13. I think that's with a £5 deducted as well. So it makes £25. It makes £23.13. And then the final one is, I've said, a £2 treble. It makes 40 quid, and I've had over 3.5 goals, the same teams. So I'd really appreciate it. Even give this video a like, subscribe if you want to see the next video. So I wish you the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.